Hey guys, this is John from ourhomefromscratch.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to spackle or mud drywall. So if you already know how to hang drywall, which a lot of DIYers do know how to do that, this video will show you how to apply the 3 or 4 coats of spackle so you could do that wall finishing yourself. So the video is pretty long. It's 20 or 30 minutes because I get pretty detailed. Start with materials, through each coat, how I apply them, what different tools I use, and then I finish with how I sand it and what materials I use for that as well. So if you like this video, stick around because there are going to be more videos after we do the painting in here. We're going to be doing tutorials on how to do crown molding. So if you like that, check it out. And if you do like this video, I want you to do 2 things for me. Number 1 is I want you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Number 2, I want you to go to our website, www.ourhomefromscratch.com, and check our website out. If you do like our website, we do have free plans available for a bunch of woodworking projects. So all you got to do is subscribe to our free newsletter. So I hope you like the video. Thanks. Okay, this is all the tooling and materials we're going to be using to finish our drywall job in our home office. And on this point, we're going to be, the drywall's already up, and we're going to be doing the joint compound in the walls. So let's start with the tools we're going to be using. First up is a 6-inch knife. This is a regular 6-inch spackle knife. We'll be using this in the first coat and throughout, actually. I'll get into that later. This is a general little 1-inch or 2-inch spackle knife. These are pretty handy. This is a 10-inch drywall knife, and we'll be using this for the 3rd coat. And there's a 12-inch knife which we'll be using for the 4th or 5th coats if we have a 4th or 5th coat. Also, we have a corner tool, and I'll use this to apply or to set the compound into the corners. So that's the knives we'll be using. Let's get into there's also this bucket. We'll be using the bucket for every one of our coats. Also, you can note the 12-inch knife doesn't fit in here, so we'll be using the smaller knives to butter the knife when we get to the larger one. So let's talk about the joint compounds. So there's 2 primary types of joint compounds. There's the buckets, which everyone's probably pretty familiar with, and then there's the bag with the dry powder. So the bucket compound, you usually see these in green lids or the blue lids. These are air drying. Okay, so these have moisture in them or water in them, and once you apply them after several hours or several days, they just dry to the air. The powder kind chemically cures, and they dry in minutes. Okay, so they come in 20, 45, and 90-minute varieties. And after that preset amount of time, the catalyst or whatever is in it chemically hardens this compound, and you can't use it anymore. So what we do is I'll be using this compound for the first 2 coats, and the air drying stuff for coats 3, 4, and 5, or whatever we have after that. Okay, so the important thing to know about this is you only want to mix up as much as you can use before it cures. Okay, I usually prefer working with the 90-minute, but I couldn't find any locally, so I'm just going to stick with the 45. I actually like keeping a bag of the 20-minute around because it's great for small repairs because it dries or it cures so quickly. Okay, because this needs to be mixed with water, we need buckets to put it in, so we have a couple buckets here, a small measuring cup, and also another bucket here. I like to have more than 1 bucket because I have 2 of these gray guys. Once this stuff cures, you can put the 1 bucket aside and work on the other, and then let that one fully harden, and then go back to it. I'll also have this mixing bit, which I bought at Lowe's, which is in the paint section, and we'll be using this to mix the compound with water. Okay, there's 2 different types of tape we'll be using, joint compound tape. There's the paper kind, which comes in a roll. And I'm going to be using this whenever we have a corner that doesn't need corner beads. So an inside corner, we'll be using the paper. The paper has a nice seam down the middle, so you can fold it and get a nice crisp corner out of it. There's also the nylon tape, this nylon mesh tape. The mesh is going to be great for anywhere where you don't have a corner but you have a seam that isn't a corner bead, essentially. This is self-adhesive. This needs to be set into compound for it to sit in the wall. So this is a process where you put the compound down, you put the paper down, and then you put more compound over it. This, you just put this one right on the wall and put 1 layer of compound over it, and this is good to go. This is very popular to create in bathrooms, but it doesn't make a nice crisp corner, so it's kind of a mess for inside corners and stuff, so the paper tape is the way to go for that. So this, again, all this stuff you can get at your local hardware store, but we'll be going through the steps as we use all these tools. Okay, with the first batch of joint compound mixed up, You can see it's got almost like a peanut butter-like consistency, and I made just enough to do what I need to do for the time being. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just, after it's been mixed, I'm going to put it into the trowel, and then we'll get started on our first bit of joy compound. Okay, so we're going to start by doing this inside corner here. I don't need to do these corners here or anything up in here because we're going to have crown molding here. It's going to hide this seam. So I don't want to have, I could put tape in here and spackle it, but there's really no point to do that because it would be overkill. So I'm going to start with here. To get started, I'm going to take my knife, a 6-inch knife, and I'm going to put a little spackle in the corner on each side. Just build it up a little bit. A little too much is fine. And then I'm going to take my piece of the paper tape. Okay, I have a nice crease in it. And this is sized just to fit right in there. And I'm going to squish it in with my fingers. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little more compound. I'm going to push on that corner seam and pull it out. Pull my knife out like that. And I'm going to repeat that on the other side as well. Okay, just like that. I'll put a little more here. Clean it up a little bit. Does not have to be perfect. Okay, the goal here is just to embed the tape into the joint compound, and that's it. So that corner is done until we come back with our second or third coats. And the tape is secure, we're good to go. So with the rest of this joint compound, I have my bucket. I'm going to show you how I do this outside corner. I'm basically laying it on. I'm using this edge here, this corner of this bead, this corner bead, as a guide for my knife. So I'm just going to lay down a good amount of material here and pull it across. Again, this does not have to be perfect, just enough that it holds the corner bead in. And then I'll repeat that down here. I'll pull that. The first pull I go in the opposite direction, and the next one I pull it across. Just like that. So I'm going to make sure this is nice and filled in. Okay, so that's how you apply the first coat to inside corners and outside corners. You can do the same thing for nail holes, just to show you what it looks like. This nail hole will be behind this crown molding, so I don't need to worry about it, but all I'm doing is pulling it flush and filling it in, and that's it for the first coat. Okay, so that's it. Next time we'll be doing the second and third coats. I'll probably actually put a little piece of nylon tape here to cover this. There's a little seam right here, and go over that. But that's it. Okay, so we're going to open up and prepare our lightweight joint compound. And this is how it comes. It's got a thin plastic film over it. Okay, so we're going to take that off and throw that away. And then the consistency isn't really what we want. So I have this mixer that's on my drill. Okay, and as I push it through, you can see that it's kind of sloppy. So what I want to do is mix this together. And I'm going to do that with a little wine glass full of white warm water. I'm going to put that in there, about half the glass or so. I'm going to work it together. I'm going to hold this with my legs. My drill actually has a low speed and a high speed. And the high speed works really well for the thicker stuff. It doesn't spray quite as much. So we're going to get it all work. Okay, that's the consistency we want right there. Okay, to clean my mixer, I'm just going to put this in one of my used buckets and then put it on high speed. And it'll clean itself a little bit. Alright. So, got our compound, and we're just going to use our small knife. Okay, we're going to ladle in here to our bucket or a tray. I'm going to get enough that I can carry and I can use. Okay. Now this stuff air dries. You can see it's actually pretty smooth. There's not a lot of bubbles in there. But mixing that helps to get this consistency. Okay. Alright, so that's enough. And we're going to be taking and doing our 10-inch knife for this second coat. So to start our second coat, we're going to first inspect the area we did our first coat. So you can see I did my piece of tape here, my corner bead. It's kind of sloppy, but it's not too bad. So this is really just the point of the first coat, just to get the corner bead set in, or the corner guard there, and to get our tape set in, and just to get that first layer down. It's rough, it's not perfect, but that's all we wanted. So to start the second, I'm going to take my 10-inch knife, and I'm not going to sand. This is a non-sanding procedure. Ideally, we want to do as little sanding as possible. So a lot of people would do the first coat, then sand. We're not going to do that. We're just going to take our knife, my 10-inch knife, we're going to be doing this, and I'm just going to knock down the high marks. Anything that's bulging up, we're just going to run the knife over, and that's it. Okay? So this will knock down any high grooves, any knife marks. That's all. Okay? It's not perfect, but it's going to look a lot better when we do our second coat this way. Okay, so I'm just kind of running it along the corner, just kind of cleaning it up. Okay, if you had any big high marks, any gobs of spackle, this would help knock that off. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to take our 10-inch knife and the spackle, and we're going to apply it a nice row of this to the knife. And we're just going to start at the top, and we're going to pull down. Okay, I'm going to do that again. You want to get it where it's missing there. Okay, so if you can see here, I got a little bit of bubble here. That's okay. This second coat, we're doing a couple coats here. So if you get little issues like that, I mean, you can try to really perfect it, but then you're going to be spending a lot of time doing that. So it's your call on that stuff, but you could always fill that in with the third coat. So again, I'm going to do to the bottom, same thing. I'm just going to pull and pull like that. Okay, and move down and pull and do that. So I got this little line here I want to get rid of. So again, I'll just put my knife down and just pull it. Okay, and then I'll put some more spackle on there, some compound, and then just pull it this way. Okay, and nice and easy. I'm not pushing too hard when I do this. It's really nice and gentle. Okay, you could also go this way with it, which we'll have to do with a later coat probably. But for now, the second coat is really just to build up the spackle and to smooth it out. Okay, so that looks way better already than our first coat. Okay, so you can see there are some imperfections, but that's not a big deal. Okay, I'm gonna go over here. Okay. Now if you want to concentrate spackle in one area versus another, so I want to get a little more in that corner, I can just put a little more on here on the one side, and then just pull that in like that. There we go. Maybe the corner got a little goofed up from that, but that's fine. Okay, I'll do a little more here. Okay, I'm going to pull some down here in this intersection. If you pull inconsistently, you'll get waves. So you want a nice firm grip on it. You just want to pull smooth once, like a random motion. Okay? So if you get busy intersections or corners like this, you could always just do one, wait till it dries, and get it with another coat. Okay? Like that. I'm making this worse here if I keep touching that. I'll probably try to correct that a little bit. Okay. All right, that looks good. So that's it for the second coat. So we're gonna wait till this dry. This is the air drying compound. So this may take a couple days to dry, and the second coat is gonna be the thickest coat out of all three. So we'll go back and finish this with the third coat after this dries in a couple days. Okay, so we just finished our second coat a couple days ago. We allowed it to air dry, and you can see it's a lot better than the first coat. It's fairly smooth because we used our 10-inch knife. We still have a lot of high ridges, okay, and some crispy corners here. So just like we did with the last time, we're going to take our next knife up, which is this is a 12 or 14-inch knife, and we're just gonna run it up and down the wall where we're gonna be applying our next coat. For the corners, I'm gonna be running it along the edge, just to clean it up like that. Okay. So I'm gonna do an abbreviated version of this. Normally I would do the whole space I'm working, but to make this quicker, I'm just gonna show you a quick section. So what we need to do again, so we're not sanding here at all. We haven't sanded anything yet. This is effectively our sanding. Okay, so knock those back. Okay, so we're gonna start with more joint compound again. Now you'll notice this time it's harder, this doesn't fit in here, so I'm actually gonna put it in at an angle, just like that. All right, now the second coat was a lot of material on the wall. Third coat is gonna be much thinner, and it's gonna smooth all this out, okay? So I'm just gonna apply with some pressure, and if you don't get enough on, let's put some more in there. Just gonna goop it on there a little bit, okay? And now I'm just gonna squeegee it off, okay? All right, and I'm not going to touch the corner yet. I'm going to leave some joint compound build up in there, but I will show you how to do the corner. So to do that, I'm going to put a little more over here. Okay, and for the corner, I'm actually, because of the long knife, I'm just going to put some on that edge, and then I'm going to put it right there, and then I'm going to pull it down at an angle. I'm going to rotate it out, and put some more up there. Okay, and like I said before, there's going to be crown molding up in here, so if I don't get it all the way to the top, it's not a big deal. Okay, again, I'm going to pull down, squeegee it, at an angle, holding it around a 45-degree angle, and it's going to pull. Okay. Okay, so now we'll do our corners. Okay, so I've got my corner tool here. I have a little bit of joint compound, and I'm gonna fix this corner. So what I'd like to do is just put a little bit on there first, start at the top, push it in, and just pull straight down. Okay, I left a little gap there, so what I usually do is pull it back at an angle, pull it right down like that, and then just repeat. Okay, so that's our corner. And then it left a couple lines, one right there and right there. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm not gonna push this totally into the corner, but I'm gonna pull it over that line, and I'm gonna again squeegee it down, and then do this one. Okay, if I leave a little bit of mark, I can always go back over that and pull it down again. More than I like. But that's fine. So any of this buildup here, we'll either get with the fourth coat, or we'll just lightly sand, and we'll just clean that up there. Okay, so that is the third coat. So what I'll be looking for in the fourth coat is any little divots, any imperfections we missed with the third coat. The fourth is really just almost a thin spot treatment. So that's it for the third coat. Okay, so last time we were in here, we did our third coat. And if you can see that, it looks pretty smooth. So now we're gonna do our finishing process. So what I'm gonna do is pretty much get ready for sanding. So we haven't sanded anything to this point, so it's all been pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is take my next knife, which is my 12-inch knife, same one I did my third coat with, and I'm gonna go back and knock down all those high marks. Okay, I'm gonna go around every little work area and just knock those back. It makes the sanding a lot easier. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you was why I didn't do these seams here. It's because we're putting crown molding, and I have a couple pieces of the sample, and one is gonna go there, and the other is gonna go here. So all of this and all of this will be behind this molding. So I don't need to worry about that quite as much. Okay, so for the sanding process, I'm going to use just a regular drywall sanding pad. I got this at Home Depot or Lowe's. I'm not sure what grit it is, but this is what it's for. I'm also going to be using a hat and safety glasses, as well as a breathing mask. So, and then we're just going to do a light sanding. Any areas that have deep divots or high mounds that I really can't take care of with sanding, I'll go back and just do a real quick correction with some spackle on a real thin fourth coat. So that my fourth coat is essentially just correcting those little areas anywhere I need them. So I'm not going to do a whole fourth coat over the whole thing. Otherwise, it's kind of a waste. If it looks good, it looks fine, it's on there fine, and then I'm done with it. So there's an area right over here that's got some deep divots. I may have to pull a fourth coat over that right there. But the corners look good, everything looks good, so it's pretty much done. All right, so one last thing before I start sanding is make sure you have the room well ventilated. I have a window open in here. I also have the door to the rest of the house closed, and I have some towels rolled up in front of the bottom of it so none of the dust escapes. I still have my paper on the floor because this is going to be the dirtiest part of the process. There you go.